So, after we cooked in Monza, the car looks the best it has looked since the start of the season, and with our consistency paying off, we don't talk about the triple header or Canada, there is a genuine argument for us winning the season over Red Bull and McLaren. Now, before any haters want to say that we are jumping the gun, if McLaren after Miami can spout title bids, then we can spout some too after Monza, especially because McLaren fans were not lying about their title bids, and the fact that we beat McLaren on strategy and equaled their race pace, I say we do have a shout. Now, before we go any further, I do want to put a massive disclaimer and say that this video is purely satirical and not meant to be taken seriously at all, so if at any point in the season we mess up and we lose big, I am not responsible for any jinxing or if this exact trend continues to happen. So now that we got that out the way, I wanted to make this video to show two Ferrari fans, as well as the haters, that we are in with the realistic chance for the title, and by realistic, I mean a genuine possibility that can happen, and not saying something stupid like, oh, we win every race and win the titles by 3 digits. No, I want to give a realistic possibility that doesn't rely on BS or luck, mostly, but relies on the abilities of the car, the track itself, and the driver's ability to win. So before we talk about that, I want to give a quick shout out to all members of the flock, and if you haven't joined yet, please do so we can fight against the FOM devils, and I'm also thinking of adding more perks soon, so if you have any suggestions, leave some down below in the comments. So enough yapping, and here is how Ferrari can win the title. To understand our chance for the title, I feel like we first have to recap the entire season and see how we even got here in the first place, since there will be clues on how we could win the title, and these will be brief, so don't worry about useless yapping. Anyways, we started with Bahrain, and almost immediately I wanted to die, since Charles's car already started breaking down. Like, please, let him get up first. But aside from that, we were second fastest, and Carlos showed that by getting third. And in Jeddah, Charles would have a better weekend since he got third this time, and Carlos got a visit from the Booty Bandits, which left him bedridden in a hospital, and our academy driver Ollie Behrman would have to step in. And step in he did, since with minimal practice, he got P7 and a good recovery from a mediocre starting position of 11th. And again, we were second fastest. In Australia, we won 1-2 thanks to Carlos and Charles. Yeah. Well, to be fair, it was also thanks to Max's brake going on brake, funnily enough, and we just cruised it all the way home. But even then, had Max not retired, we could have been in with a shout, since we were rapid and right there with Red Bull. So who truly knows if the result could have been the same with Max out or not. And at Suzuka, we were unfortunately back to reality though, since we finished third again with Charles, and it was relatively quiet and the car was decent enough, I guess, but we were probably closer to third fastest than the fastest, so there's that. And in China, we would have our first bad weekend, which wasn't even that bad since we still finished 4th and 5th. However, Lando and Red Bull did beat us fair and square on pace, and Alonso maybe could have too, but I'd imagine Aston were too busy pampering the word Yuki used in Austria and forgot about the strat for Alonso. Miami, the day of reckoning. McLaren's upgrades now made them the fastest car on the grid, and since Miami, they have been in contention for wins and titles. And us? Well, we ran an ugly ass blue car and Carlos and Oscar were fighting out of pure hatred. Whatever though, we still got third, but we have a huge upgrade package in Imola coming, so let's hope it works. The Imola package ruined everything I once believed in. To be fair, Carlos did say to lower our hopes, but we're Ferrari fans, we don't know what lowering expectations means. Well, whatever, we got third again, but we were outshined by Red Bull and McLaren again. Monaco would thankfully be a saving grace though, since we became the first team other than Red Bull to win multiple races thanks to Charles. And fun fact, this race inspired me to start the channel because I wanted to share my delusion with the world. But yeah, we were tied for fastest with McLaren, so let's hope in Canada we get yet another dub and we become challengers. We were not challengers in Canada. If the challenge was who can be the most brain dead team, then we win easily. But the challenge is the title, and yeah, this was horrible. My first race doing a winners and losers, and that is what we do. Well, at least we could rest and regroup for the triple header now. The triple header as a Ferrari fan had to have been a worse experience than death, since in all 3 races, we were absolutely nowhere committing brain-dead acts. From the shenanigans in Spain, to Charles taking out his wing in lap 1 at Austria, to Silverstone, where we do the same exact thing to Charles as in Canada. If you want to see me lose it, watch the winners and losers from those weekends. Well, Hungary would be somewhat better, but not really, since we finished mid-lead, but at least we scored good points. However, Spa would be better, since the car looked good again, and Charles, being the man he is, somehow qualified second and got pole, and finished fourth and got third. Generational. After the summer break, we entered Zandvoort, and here is where things get interesting. We were supposed to be slow and nowhere, and we were until Sunday, where the car was the second fastest in race pace, and Monza, it would only confirm it too, since again, we were nowhere until Sunday, where we were tied or marginally behind in race pace for fastest, and we won again. And now we are here in Baku, with Charles 86 points from Max and 24 points from Lando, and Ferrari 39 points from Red Bull and 31 points from McLaren. With the car that is seemingly faster on race day than quali or practice, let me tell you now how we win the title. First off, let me inhale some copium and delusion gas. Inhale some too if you're a Ferrari fan, since you're gonna need it. Okay, so I have created a theory on how we win, and like any other theory, it can be very easily falsified. However, my evidence is, if McLaren can do it, so can we. Also, I will put up a spreadsheet with the points Charles and Ferrari takes away from each weekend, as well as McLaren with Lando and Red Bull with Max. That way, you can visualize it too. Anyways, in Baku, I already said in my weekend preview that we will win, and I do actually think this can happen since Charles loves the track, and the medium and low speed corners can be helpful to the car, but we will likely face challenge from McLaren and maybe Mercedes as well. But I do think Charles got that dog in him, and same with Carlos, since we win 1-2. In Singapore, I think we also win 1-2, but Carlos gets this one from Charles. In Coda, Red Bull will finally bounce back with almost winning in the sprint and winning the real race, and in the sprint, I think Charles finishes third, and the same thing with the race. In Mexico, I think we get second with Charles, and we are slowly but surely closing in. And in the Brazil sprint, I think we will get second, and same thing again in the real race, but this one will be closer in my opinion. Here we go now. In Vegas, I think the race will be catastrophic for Lando and Max, since I think they DNF and we win 1-3 with Charles getting 26 points, and I think Oscar will back P2 ahead of Carlos. And I also think the drama from Vegas will also carry into the Qatar sprint, where Lando and Max again DNF, and Charles bags a really difficult sprint win from Mercedes since they are the fastest there. And in the race, I think Charles will fight, but Mercedes and Lando will prove to be too fast, so P3 while Lewis wins his final race for Mercedes. And now the final round in Abu Dhabi, and I think Mercedes will win again. However, we finish ahead of both Max and Lando in second, while Russell this time takes the dub. And adding together all of the points that Max, Lando, and Charles will score, and I believe that after all of that, we will still not win the Drivers' Championship since Max won too much at the start of the season. However, in the Constructors, after all of that, I do think we bagged the title there, and finally, after so many years, we are champions yet again. Is this going to be reality? Well, I'm not a time traveler. However, you know what? I'm going all in on this becoming reality, and I do believe that this will happen. Well, before we go all in, there is also the possibility we lose the title. So, how can that happen? Well, it's simple. We just finished behind more and more than McLaren or Red Bull, but that's the boring answer. The real answer is that we have yet another disastrous triple header or sequence of events like earlier in the season from Canada to Silverstone. And here's the harsh truth. No winning team goes 4 races in a row, not getting close to the maximum of the results due to their own stupidity. So in reality, as much as I love to dream, I don't think the scenario I came up with will happen due to that 4-race stinker run where we killed our chances for anything. Psst, this is a reverse jinx. But who knows? Who's to say that McLaren or Red Bull, or both, don't also have a horrible run of a few races and we close up massively? So, after looking at everything, let us stop inhaling copium and sit down and be real. Is this possible? Well, in all honesty, if you couldn't tell, The scenario is very, very hopeful and based on almost nothing other than looking at the tracks we were good at and seeing similarities in the future ones that we have to race at. So, in all honesty, I don't think this will be possible, since while yes, we do have better race pace, the truth is, McLaren are still way too fast. And if you watched my weekend preview, you would have heard me say that Fat Brown has literally threatened us with more upgrades that'll make their car faster. So in reality, I think Max still wins the driver's title, since at this point you really have to be hopeful he doesn't. That includes you McLaren fans. And while the constructors is wide open, unless McLaren goes full Mercedes mode and they start crashing into each other, which I could see happening, they have that secured, I'd say. But I do think we could get second, so there's that, I guess. So there is what I think of our title hopes for the season. Before any of you want to say that I clickbaited you since we couldn't win both championships in my scenario, I said how Ferrari can win the F1 championship, not championships. So take that. Anyways, again, my scenario is pretty unlikely since it is reliant on factors that can easily not come true at all due to not taking into consideration how McLaren could do the same thing or how Red Bull could come back. So of course, take everything I said with a grain of salt. But I'm going to hold on to this scenario for dear life because if there is a chance, we gotta take it. But after looking at how our season has gone so far and making a championship winning scenario out of that, I am hoping that everything falls into place and we become Formula 1 world champions yet again. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since it would greatly help me in making better content, and let me know in the comments what your scenario is, and as always, have an amazing day.
Good weather for the duck.